Let's look at this problem. Suppose you're making a paver stone by pouring concrete into a cylindrical slab that has a radius of 7.5 inches. So we're imagining some cylindrical slab and the radius is 7.5 or 7.5 inches. And we're pouring concrete into that. We want to know on average, how is the volume of concrete in the slab changing as the height of the concrete changes from 1 inch to 1.5 inches. So at some point we have a height of concrete of 1 inch, and then we have a height of concrete of 1.15 inches, and we want to know how is the volume of concrete in that slab changing on average. Well, and we were going to round our answer to the nearest hundredth. So we're talking about on average how the volume is changing as the height of concrete changes. So what we're going to want to know is the change in the volume of the concrete in the slab over the change in the height of the concrete in the slab. Well, the height goes from 1 to 1.15 inches. So our change, let's have a 1.15 minus 1 as our change in height. Now we need the corresponding volumes. So what is the volume when the height is 1.15 inches? Well, they've given us here the volume of a circular or cylindrical slab, right? So that's pi r squared times height. So in this case, when the height of the concrete is 1.15 inches, our volume is going to be pi times our radius. Well, our radius is 7.5 inches throughout, so that'll be 7.5 inches squared times our height, which is 1.15. And now we're interested in the change in volume, so now let's subtract off the volume when the height was 1 inch. That's going to be pi times the radius, which is again 7.5 inches because that's the radius throughout, and then times the height, which is 1. And since we're trying to round this to the nearest hundredth, we would put all of this into a calculator and we would get approximately 176.71. So what does that mean? Well, that means that the volume on average of concrete in the slab is increasing by 176.71 approximately cubic inches per inch of height.